Well, certainly this conference has accepted the results of the top 7. There's a new leadership and there's so many layers then to those results. But somebody I spoke to just before the voting took place was one Sifiso Mtshweni. He's from the ANC in the Western Cape. He's a spokesperson. And you were quite confident that President Cyril Ramaphosa would come back for a second term. In fact, it was the Western Cape and Northern Cape who were the ones who seemed to be almost somewhat of a kingmaker status with your numbers to consolidate all of this, even, trumping what KZN had wanted despite them being the biggest bloc. Your initial reaction?
Firstly, on behalf of the membership of the ANC in the Western Cape, we would want to congratulate President Cyril Ramaphosa. We want to congratulate all the officials that were elected in this conference. Indeed, the will of the branches of the ANC has been affirmed. You would remember that, in fact, before this conference started, when the elections agency published the branch outcomes, they more or less reflected what has happened here. So what this means is that the delegates that are representing the branches actually stuck to the mandates that they were given by their branches, and then therefore we must applaud the delegates for being disciplined, for staying true to what the wishes of the membership of the ANC wanted. And indeed, we think this is the time now for the ANC to move away from all these things that characterized the period towards this conference: divisions, factionalism, infighting. The time has come for the ANC to heal. The time has come for the ANC to unite. We need to focus on ensuring that we build a strong ANC going forward.
It's very interesting that you talk about, the discipline of delegates, because we saw a few leaders from Limpopo trying to veer away from that. Florence Radilane leading a grouping saying they would now go with Dr. Zweli Mkhize. There's also the issue of Stan Mathabatha also now going with KwaZulu-Natal. What do you think that is symptomatic of? Because we can't say it's just conference politicking. It seemed that leaders almost were trying to impose on the delegates, and it seems to be a new tendency.
Well, it's not a new tendency. All delegations are led. That's why we've got a provincial leadership. The role of the provincial leadership is also to lobby. Remember, different nominations also represent aspirations of different provinces. So they've got a responsibility to try and convince each other and say, look, as this province, we think this one can best serve. You would remember that there were 2 new positions, the first Deputy Secretary General and the second Deputy Secretary, which was vacant. So that gives a space for the leaders to engage and go back to the branches and say, based on our engagements, these are the developments. And of course, allow the branches to then say, we accept what you guys were discussing, or we don't accept. And I think what has happened, there's nothing wrong that the leaders did. I think the leaders were trying to also, because of the democratic nature of the organization, say, we just can't have this. Here's other comrades who can contest. And democracy prevailed. The branches elected this leadership from a democratic process. And I think that must be welcomed going forward.
Immediate toss that you think this top 7 should attend to 2024 around the corner?
Unite the ANC. The ANC needs to come out of this conference united. We can't be defocused anymore. We can't have an ANC that is internally looking. People are unemployed out there. Poverty continues to grind people. We come from a very devastating COVID-19 pandemic where people have lost their livelihoods. And they are no longer interested in the shenanigans that are happening in this conference. People are interested to know, when we come out of here, what is it that we're going to do to create jobs for them? What are we going to do with the energy crisis that we're facing in this country? What are we going to do with the high cost of food prices in this country, high cost of transport, high cost of living, petrol, everything else? We need to come out and guide them. But I do think that for President Ramaphosa and that collective, they honestly need to come back. Those ones who contested and might not have made it, let's integrate them into the organization. Let's move as one. Let's not have comrades. Let's not have winners and losers. The person who won today is the African National Congress, and I think all of us must move together in that line.
Right, that's Sifiso Mtshweni. He speaks for the ANC in the Western Cape. Not shy there in terms of how happy he is with that result. He's always said that the Western Cape would be backing President Cyril Ramaphosa for a second term. And unity, not a new word that we've heard being bandied about. And we'll see then in the coming months, especially in the lead up to the 2024 elections, whether or not then all of that will come to fruition.
Thank you very much for that update from Newzroom Afrika for now.